Hello everyone, we would like to thank you warmly for this colloquium. We are truly delighted to share this space with our partners, to discover your work and to exchange with our colleagues from the List Gallery in Seoul, whom we very much hope to meet in person in the future. We are Juliana Marin Taborda, a PhD candidate in a co-tutor program in art and philosophy between the University of Antioquia in Colombia and the University of Toulouse-Jean Jaurès, affiliated with the Research Group on Philosophical Rationalities and Knowledge, RFIS, and Mario Arias Valencia, a PhD candidate in design at the University of Toulouse-Jean Jaurès, and a member of the Research Laboratory for Audiovisual Studies, Knowledge, Praxis, and Poetics in Art, Lara Sepia. We are both from Colombia. Through this presentation, we would like to share the outcomes of our research creation project entitled IN-CORPUS, an immersive rhizome. This project constitutes an artistic and scientific dispositive designed to explore the concept of the body and the ways in which it may be understood as a territory composed within a network of other bodies. Audiovisual routines of a Danish landscape take shape within a digital universe, made perceptible through the interdisciplinarity between art and design, notably through the use of immersive technologies. IN-CORPUS, an immersive rhizome, forms part of the research creation experiments within my doctoral project entitled Peers in Aesthetics, the Event in Research Creation for a Sensitive Ecosophy. The dispositif was presented at the Toulouse Science Festival in 2024 during La Nuit des Chercheurs as an immersive and interactive installation featuring a virtual reality headset that add 3D haptic information to the audiovisual environment of IN-CORPUS, developed by Mario Arias. A second edition took place in January 2025 at the Research Creation Research Seminar of the Alpha Doctoral School at the University of Toulouse-Jean Jaurès, also with the virtual reality headset. Two additional editions were held in February 2025 in Colombia without the virtual reality headset, but with presence of sounds artists and an eurythmy dancer. The installation consists of a video art piece activated by two synchronized projectors that display evocative images of the human and non-human bodies that surround me during 3 months living in Denmark between spring and summer of 2024. Grass, water, light, stone, skin, sea waves, and voices, interwoven with sound compositions of birds, streams, and ocean currents. These entities unfold through wide and detailed shoots, inviting reflection on the possibility of a screen skin, though effects and percepts configure as movement images. One of the projection is cast onto a rhizome drawn on layered surfaces of opaque and translucent paper, which contains questions, poems, and routines about the concept of the body, drawn from personal experience as well as from other authors as Nietzsche, Bergson, Deleuze, Guattari, Artaud, Lorena Cavnal, and Consuelo Pavón. These rhizomatic layers function as an interactive canvas, encouraging spectators to engage by tracing their own drawings of our works and to inscribe their own perceptions of a body in movement as the video art unfolds, thus fostering a collective reflection on the multiple relationships between humans and non-human bodies and their environments. The result highlights, on the one hand, a dialogue between the tangible and the digital. Haptic sensations are experienced through machines. In this way, a reflection emerged on a haptic screen capable of becoming a body cosmos, foregrounding affects and percepts roots in the sensory memory inscribed in the singularity of bodies. On the other hand, the exhibition generates reflections on the aesthetic experience of the artwork, where the audience's lived experience is key in activating the space due to its relation with a temporal memory open to images. The haptic digital written is and its inscription of bodies and thoughts accumulate through the exhibition. This communication concludes with the proposal of a sensitive ecosophy as an aesthesis of haptic anti-memories at the intersection of the real and the digital, opening toward philosophy of digital art beyond the screen, conceived instead as hybrid embedment with multiple possibilities for configuring notions of reality linked to the body and the traces of bodies in space. Existence springs forth in the pulse, an impulse that unsettles the fixed appearance of things. There is no need to force it. The life of the body leans into view. In this breathing, a breath, however slight, a gentle touch, a sound that sets another trembling, a dance of the wind from one leaf to another. Everything is there. There, life resides. Within the fixed appearance of things, life reveals itself by refraction, the expression of a being there. Another world ahead, below or within, another self that lives in its multiplicity with new vibrations. First of all, it is important to explain where in-corpus comes from. In-corpus is a personal inquiry that I began within a territory entirely new to my lived experience. I traveled to Denmark for 3 months as part of a Horizon 2020 research project on Aryan migration entitled Transmigrants. The idea of creating in-corpus emerged from 2 principal motivations. First, there was the need to take root wherever I may find myself. If life becomes, as it has for me so far, having lived in 10 different places over the course of 3 years, an ongoing constellation of heterogeneous points, then one must learn to root oneself anywhere, in the air, in the sea, with or without water, with familiar people or without them. Second, in-corpus continues a previous research creation project within my doctoral work entitled Everyday Poetics, through which, in the company of 7 friends, we explore the making of everyday poetics as a way of entering into relation with the quotidian. This practice seeks to foreground the value of everyday life as the primary site for the emergence of new horizons of existence, beyond those shaped by acceleration, consumerism, and alienation. As Blanchot writes, the everyday is banality, that which lingers and that which fades away, the residual life that fills our rubbish bins and cemeteries, refuse and waste. Yet this banality is also what is most essential, insofar as it refers to existence in its very spontaneity and as it is manifest itself at the very moment when one's life. It withdraws from all speculative form, perhaps from all coherence, from all regularity. Can we become trees, air, and breathe through research creation? In-CORPUS, an immersive rhizome, invites meditation, reflection, and connection with the deep of natural and sonorous bodies, where the migratory transitions of my body and experience unfold. I understand migration across a broad spectrum as moving house, shifting beliefs, or passing through multiple emotional states as the body experience in resonance with the world. When one migrates, the old skin loosens and falls away like a husk, while a new layer gathers. Woven from body, emotion, and sensation, to migrate is to uproot oneself from the land and become a floating body, always in transit. Through this invitation, a question opens up about the body as the most stable territory that a migrant possesses and as a part of a sensitive ecosophy. A migrating body, by shedding its skin multiple times, acquires different layers, colors, tones, rhythms, and calyusos that allow it to continue resisting among the intersecting paths that connect and identify us despite our differences. In-CORPUS is an invitation to feel, think, senti, pensar, as Orlando Taborda will say, to draw and to mediate with all the bodies present on place, sensation, and the transitions we undertake to build a place for ourselves in the world through relationship between bodies. How then may this be done through digital media? To do so, we do not rely solely on haptic elements understood as their conventional sense, namely features that engage the sense of touch or evoke tactile perceptions typically employed in immersive environments through devices such as haptic gloves, vests, or sleeves, which allows users to experience form, textures, and interaction through physical or sensory contact. We propose instead that haptic experience within digital environments need not be limited to such devices. Haptic elements may also be reconfigured through the compositional and adjacent articulation of multiple media, forms that share immersive realities such as virtual, augmented, or mixed reality, emerging through the interplay of virtual reality headsets, video art, sound, and writing. In this sense, we draw on Deleuze's understanding of the haptic in painting, which does not refer merely to the tactile, but to a mode of seeing that approaches touching, a vision that loses its optical distance and brings us into proximity with the flesh of bodies. Through the virtual reality technologies with which we experiment in-CORPUS, we seek to explore ways in which participants may feel closer to the textures and atmospheres presented in the video. Our intention is to evoke sensations that in everyday life often go unnoticed, yet remain in constant, even vital contact with us, such as the air that brushes against our cheeks even when we are enclosed within a room. These technologies form part of an ongoing inquiry with the work of Marin Arias, who, following the French designer and architect Jean-Louis Fréchon, seeks to engage emerging technologies in order to generate new forms of design, a new design that creates synergies between objects, technologies, people, and their environments. This corresponds to what Gerard Fischler has termed meta-design, the design of open systems that invite their users to become co-creators within an ongoing process of evolution. In-CORPUS, an immersive rhizome proposes an interaction with virtual objects with simulated environment that mobilizes the senses beyond vision. Thus, when we speak of immersion, we also speak of a sonorous immersion, one that is experienced at a molecular and collective level, touching the hair, arriving, for example, at what Barthes called the ponton, or to be more precise, as Deleuze and Guattari suggest, extracting the concept from matter and transforming it into sensation. To render matter sensible is to produce sensation, and this occurs through effects. One paints, sculpts, composes, writes with sensations. One paints, sculpts, composes, writes sensations, as Deleuze and Guattari says on What is Philosophy. We inscribe with traces of light, of sound, of time spent seated before the sea. We walk the silence and come to see that this walking is already the gesture of a performance, a putting into act of the circulation of blood, of the crueur of my body, of other bodies, and of my passage through the world. Like Alice discovering words, there is the encounter with those other bodies, where meaning becomes a secret between them and my experience, where inscribed with traces of life in order to share with others a way of inhabiting and of researching, not to declare a truth, but to open spaces where other ways of inhabiting may emerge, where the sand of the sea does not reach. I mean, where there is never time to breathe, where concepts swallow the bodily and virtual experience of everyday life, where a sensitive philosophy takes place only in the virtual and not necessarily in the relational, between walls, sense-proof glass windows, doors that close automatically at a fixed hour, present bodies and silence that fill the space, doctoral rooms, conference rooms, office, home office, remote work. We inscribe with traces of life in a travel long in order to generate context, way of entering into relation, where language falls short, where sound captures us, where one may or may not see, may or may not listen, where an empty space becomes its own potential and something new emerges, a connection that opens as one enters into the void of the fall. This research creation project has allowed us to understand the sensitive body as a relational and ecosophical field emerging through the interplay of video art, installation, sound, drawing, writing, and mixed reality, our working definition of sensitive immersive technologies. A survey conducted among participants indicated strong activation of sensory perception and engagement, even among those unfamiliar with immersive dispositives, while neutral responses regarding full immersion and the exploration of other senses reveal a threshold between live sensation and its conceptual articulation. This gap point not to a limitation, but to the need of an expanded aesthetic framework in which haptic experience unfolds through compositional, relational, and affective agencies. Through writing, drawing, listening, and shared presence, these sensitive immersive technologies do not merely simulate environments but amplify the imperceptible dimensions of everyday life, enhancing bodily and affective perception within a broader sensitive philosophy. In-CORPUS demonstrate that becoming co-creators of sensory experience is never an isolated act. We are never alone in perception. The activation of a sensitive body depends on the relations between participants and on the dispositive's capacity to awaken affective and perceptual memories, even of unknown places, manifesting through and in the body. Following Guattari, this reveals an ecosophical agency where mind, body, society, and environment are intertwined. In-CORPUS is therefore not an experience to be reproduced, but to be produced anew each time, shaped by participants' special conditions and encounters, through which a living process of perception, relation, and co-creation emerge.